There's a killer on the road. His brain is squirming like a toad. These lyrics were penned by Jim Morrison for the Doors' 1971 song, Riders on the Storm. I think it rings true. When an otherwise sane individual premeditatedly and maliciously kills, it is by definition a crime that they were thinking of and planning. But before the hard planning, there was obsessive thinking. Premeditated murder has motives such as greed and malice, but beyond those are of people who deem themselves righteous, people who kill for what they think is right. It's impossible for an obsessive thinker to be truly righteous, even one who believes their thoughts and views to be on the side of good. Obsessive thinking has an opportunity cost. A tapestry of thought forms is like a veil that has a pattern on it. It does two things. Firstly, to the extent that attention is a zero-sum game, the giving of it to obsessive thoughts precludes presence. You can't be present while lost in obsessive thinking, and the absence of presence in a person gives rise to a hunger, the origins of which are not recognized. People have this gaping hole in them that they want to fill with something, and it could be anything. The pursuit of pleasure, the pursuit of money, the pursuit of sex, the pursuit of fame, the pursuit of glory, the pursuit of drugs, the pursuit of revenge, the pursuit of what counts as justice in their view, the pursuit of a secure future for oneself and society. The objective of all these things is really to bend reality to meet the obsessive thinker's ideal. And it's really all predicated on fears. Some of these objectives can be accomplished and enjoyed for a time, and the source of that enjoyment is the allowing of presence by virtue of the alignment with the moment and the obsessive mind's objective, or their object of desire. Beyond this creation of the perception of lack, the tapestry of obsessive thoughts also cuts off empathy, as the veil is a separation from others that exists for all but those who hold the same pattern of thoughts in that tapestry. This is particularly dangerous when that pattern is believed to be the only righteous one. This is the way of the cult member. I'm not an expert on cults, but I do know that one of the hallmarks is that they will use a certain lexicon that's shared with fellow members. The effect of this is separation and othering and dehumanization. It's an in-group, out-group thing. When somebody is convinced that their unique worldview is the only righteous one, they live in a world full of infidels, and that what is done to those infidels really doesn't matter. It's cliche to say, but the internet has segregated people off into echo chambers, wherein are woven these tapestries of thought that cut people off from each other and from source. Algorithms augment this capability. I'm convinced that if people don't peek around the edge of the algorithm from time to time, they can get the sense that they live in a world that's filled with more people who share their view than they actually do. This is evidenced in people publicly saying wildly inappropriate things and having no expectation of repercussion. They think they are in alignment with righteousness and justice and can't see how, in absolute terms, what they've said is despicable, because in their mind, they're doing something akin to stoning the devil. They don't see how unhinged they appear to people who don't share their mental tapestry of ideology. Just as physical hunger knows no law, an empty belly has no ethics. A spiritual deprivation, until quenched by the truth, does not know righteousness. Look at the world and the number of times that a trusted person was revealed to be doing evil things secretly for years and years. It's extremely common. The stories are all over the internet and television. And it's easier to know this by the number of victims than the number of perpetrators, since they hide. But the victims will tell you their stories without necessarily pointing the finger at a perpetrator. They don't necessarily take a risk. When I was growing up, a double-digit percentage of people I knew confided in me that they were exploited by an adult. Like, it's a lot, unfortunately. I can't be alone in noticing this. I think if you get to know enough people well enough that they will confide in you, you'll hear a lot of these stories. And this is just one malignant behavior, but I bring it up because it's a visible one. There are a plethora of YouTube channels that feature people who catch predators like this. The sheer volume of them you can find on these channels, it just makes you realize how people can't be trusted. These individuals are most certainly not known for what they are by the people in their lives. And yet this is inside of them. There's something inside them that needs this, and it's the product of obsessive thinking. And that can yield any number of crimes, not just the worst ones like this. But what drives these predators is obsessive thinking. They don't just come out doing this from a blank Zen state of mind, a state of no mind. They have a brain that is squirming like a toad. They have a head full of deviant imaginings, and that is like a door separating awareness from the truth. And for them, the only way to taste the truth is to bend reality to their mind. So the killer kills, and the exploiter exploits, and the thief steals. And the gossiper gossips, and the glutton eats, and the addict gets their fix. The truth that can free one from all this is not a thought form. It's not holding a right belief or opinion or position. It's not an alignment with a tradition or culture. And even though words in a book can be true, they're not the truth. The truth is everything that is not a thought. So the truth is right now, here, all the time. And there are very few who perceive it apart from the lens of conditioning, the veil of positionality. It's so simple. Ram Dass, the one who is a devotee of Neem Karoli Baba, wrote a book about it called Be Here Now. It's that simple. If you could simply be here now, it would destroy you in the most wonderful way. It doesn't take anything more than presence to be fully realized spiritually. So, for example, Jesus is saying that you should not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. If that's taken on fully and faithfully as a spiritual practice, all the way, it will reveal the absolute. Because this practice amounts to the surrender to the perfection of the first cause, to its scope and sovereignty and its perfection. Presence is in alignment with truth, and the truth is not a means to an end, but rather the end in and of itself. Presence reveals this palpably, not just conceptually. And in freedom, there is perpetual presence, allowed for by the absence of belief in doership. This is dying unto oneself to be born as a reflection of the truth in the spiritual heart rendered still by surrender to its source. There's no need for any rituals, no need to interact with invisible beings. The simple practice of being present is all that's needed. Everything else that's of value works towards that presence or is preparation for the coming changes to the subtle and gross bodies that it can bring. Other practices include devotion, which is called bhakti in yoga, being so focused on the object of devotion that it brings a one-pointedness of mind. And then as concentration is brought to that one-pointedness, the spaciousness in which it appears brings about that perception of a separation between the object of concentration and what's aware of it. And that exposes the non-self nature of everything that appears in the awareness that one is. That can bring presence. That works towards presence. Meditation is presence. Concentration can facilitate presence in the same way as devotion. Asanas, which are like the poses in Hatha Yoga, and other types of isometrics can help the nervous system adjust to being present, because there's an energetic a repurposing of energy. Asanas also create a non-relational sensation into which attention can be immersed, precluding the proliferation of relational thinking. But even with a palpable awakening, there's a need for virtuous influence. Like the 5 precepts in Buddhism. I don't know if I can prattle them off, but like non-killing, non-stealing. Energetic awakening can be the result of spiritual practices that align attention with the present. The reason for this is that the energy that was once put into obsessive thinking is no longer bound up in that, nor is it encapsulated in the thought forms if the ego has been pierced by concentration, such that the energy body becomes palpable. The absence of obsessive thinking leaves a spaciousness that can be problematic in and of itself. Just because there is an exalted state of high vibration, energetic awakening, doesn't mean that the subject is spiritually mature. I've said in other videos how Paramahansa Ramakrishna compared a person going through an energetic awakening to a ball of dough dropped into hot ghee, which is like a boiling oil. At first, there's a great noise as the water begins to boil and steam out of it. So that would be like the person having to constantly talk about it. It could be other types of acting out, grandiosity, or messianic complex, because at the beginning there are unprecedented types of sensations going on, and a rational person, even a rational person, can interpret that as kind of a break from reality, or maybe they didn't understand the nature of reality, and everything's different. It brings up a lot of questions. But then eventually the moisture burns out of the dough, and it quiets down and becomes still. The beginnings of an energetic awakening are a treacherous time. The veil of ego may be pierced such that the energy leaks forth and reacts palpably to the delusion that still persists. There can be many health-related issues in the midst of an energetic awakening due to resistance and blockages that remain. It can take time for them to fall away and unravel. If the person lives long enough and doesn't get sidetracked, the energy body will eventually stabilize in the spiritual heart. And compared to the predominant state of being, this would be like a stable equilibrium in physics versus an unstable one. It's possible to come through the other side of an energetic awakening with a perpetual peace that eclipses the product of all desires, and yet still be able to function in the world and relate to other people, albeit with more patience and ability to give grace. That's all.